The other case, Blake, is
This is more in your alley.
Yeah.
The Missy Bevers case.
so we had it's 10 years, right? It's gotta be close to it.
9. It was,
9
it was April. I believe it was April 18th of 2016.
So they had an event the other day that was like a raising awareness type thing, and Blake brought up that was something that your dad had gotten interested in. I don't know. You've heard there's a couple different theories out there, like looking at the gate of
Is this the Grand
assailant.
Prairie
Midlothian?
Yeah.
There was a
Fitness
fitness
site?
club, like a Camp Gladiator in the morning, and then the lady was there at the church to set it all up, and she was murdered. There's surveillance footage of a lady or a person walking through inside dressed in like full tactical gear, and there's really not been, outside of you'll get some local chatter and my friend thinks that they heard this or that, but there's really not been much from an official investigation standpoint.
And I think the biggest question there is why. There was a video inside the church of the murder that the police department collected. Pastor confirmed this. It was a 22-minute video, I believe.
Mhm.
Never released. Texas Rangers have offered to help. They were turned down. Right? Why? Why is it not being looked? Now, of course, you don't want to release all the details to the public because when you find a suspect, you want to verify, do they know details that no other person would know? But to solve a case, you have to want to solve a case. And so when you start looking into that, I'm not saying that there's any nefarious reason necessarily, but I do think that there are some, based on my dad's own investigation, and I heard you bring up the True Crime Broads the other day, and he had collaborated with them right before his passing.
Huh.
And I think there are reasons why there might be a little bit dragging of the feet. And one of the suspects, a little bit of backstory on Missy, she, and it's no secret, but she was having lots of affairs with multiple people, fire department, police officers.
Hell yeah.
Right. And one of the suspects.
Back the blue.
Hey, more than that, more than backing, yeah.
Spread the red. I don't know.
Spread the red.
Certain times of the month. So one of the main suspects was married to a police officer at the time. And if you think about it from the Midlothian PD perspective, how would it look if one of their officers was even tangentially related to the case? And so there's a lot of evidence backing the suspect that they were one, their husband was having an affair with Missy. That's confirmed. There are other aspects of her that fit a certain profile in terms of maybe height and shape and things like that. But also a wife of a police officer, you would think there would be access to police gear, right? And the night before, she had stormed out of a party, I believe pretty upset. And again, it's just more pieces to the puzzle. But ironically, when she was, this case also, the detectives in charge has sort of rotated over. And so you'll have this kind of start-stop type investigation. And when a new investigator or detective rolled on in 2020, I believe it was, he started taking another look at her. And it was around that same time that she up and moved to New York with her then boyfriend and basically living off the grid in New York. And interestingly enough, when people would ask her friends, hey, do you think so-and-so would have done this? Well, again, back to my analogy with Blake, if somebody asked Blake's friends, hey, do you think Blake would have done this? Oh, totally out of character. They go, yeah, I can see her doing that. They were almost legitimately scared of her, right? And so there's a lot of that. Where there's smoke, there tends to be fire. And a detail that not a lot of people know or remember even is Missy was not killed with sort of being bludgeoned, so to speak. She was shot. And the suspect I talked about, and again, this could all be coincidence, but she was and probably still is a big gun enthusiast. She would post a number of photos on social media with multiple guns. And interestingly, 9 days before the murder, she had a social media post that said, "I'm watching you," just with a photo of her eyes. 10 days, I believe it was 10 days, I look at the timestamp after the murder, there was a meme of this woman that was tied up kind of like a turkey or something, and basically this woman had a knife and had killed this woman on the table, and and her comment to that was, "This is how we do it in the South." And there were multiple other social media posts that are highly questionable. One was organization was putting up more money to find the killer, and she chose to comment. It wasn't, "Oh, this is great." It was, "Why don't you fix such and such?" More disparaging about the organization. Yeah, again, individually, none of that may mean a lot, but when you look at the full picture, it's just these little pieces that start to add up. And just the way my dad started to do it with OJ, it's just you just follow the crumb trail or whatever they call it. And then you just kind of keep pulling that thread.
I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. You follow the Chisholm Trail.
That's incredible.
But she was actually shot, and the bludgeoning would have come after, because you're not going to bludgeon somebody and then back up and shoot them.
Right.
Right? She would have been shot. And obviously that person, there's a lot of theories, but nothing was stolen from the church. Nothing was stolen from Missy's truck. It was a very small window it could happen. And there were some, unfortunate coincidences of the camera outside the church that would have caught who came and went out of that door was inoperable at the time. There was some dark colored car, and there are maybe some similarities or some coincidences with one of the suspects, but she would have been shot. She would have been shot, then bludgeoned, and same thing, kind of jealous rage in a sense, right? And I believe Missy had gotten very healthy from the fitness workouts, and she lost a lot of weight. And I believe she had a boob job, and if your husband was sleeping with her, you can see where the jealous rage would have come in. And I can show you some photos of side by side with the suspect and the video stills from the church, and it's interestingly, the police department originally, they referred to the suspect as him. Shortly thereafter, they backed and said, "We cannot confirm it was him or a man or a woman." And they said that the suspect would have been between 5'2" and 5'8", and that they ruled out a couple suspects in that way because one of the suspects was 6'1". Well, it doesn't fit the profile, and so.
I would like to disagree with you on one thing. The Blake, what if he was, caught because he had murdered 10 people? Like, Blake could win the lottery right in front of you, and you would see no emotional reaction at all. He's Dexter. He's cold. He's calculated. He's just taking care of business.
He'd be a
You
good
don't
poker
know
player.
what he's doing.
Even when he's having a kid, right? You don't even know.
He'd be a good poker player, yes. You don't know if he's enjoying something or not enjoying it, and you're afraid of him in the long run. You fear Blake, and you should. Did your dad ever look into the Grand Prairie Cobra?
Boy, that would have been number one on the list,
Remember
right?
that?
What happened to the Cobra?
Dude, we don't know.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
Probably got a job, paying taxes now, hardworking.
Still, we got to get rid of it.
Was he? Did he? Where do you guys fall on just general conspiracy theories?
I mean, what are we talking here?
Well,
how high level is this? Is this after dark? I mean, it's pretty sunny outside.
Like Vegas shooter. Did he have theories on things like that, or was it? Because I don't think of James Bond type things as necessarily being conspiracy type things. You're doing real investigative work. Like, that's different than just. I have some questions about reptiles and the government.
Gentlemen, I also want to say that my dad was involved in the wax museum murders that were in Grand Prairie. Rob Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
There were murders there?
Turns out the Cobra did it.
No, yeah.
But yeah, he was involved in that as well.
I wasn't aware there was
No.
something called
Somebody-
the Wax Museum.
It was the wax museum, right? And the owner-manager died mysteriously, and then the place burned down. I'm the old school guy. I don't keep up with the new stuff, but yeah, he did all that stuff.
1987, Dan. The poisoning.
Oh, and he also was in charge of the security to exhume Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
He was in the room where the exhumation was taking place.
Because they thought it wasn't Lee Harvey, right? They thought some writer in London or something said it was a body double or whatever.
Russian spy.
Spy. And so, yeah, Bill was involved in that as well.
So the head actually rolled off the table, and he picked it up, and a certain former colleague would have said he felt the power at that time. But yeah, he had to have some security around when they dug it up, and so
awesome.
I mean, to your point, he wasn't a conspiracy theorist. I think a lot of times private investigators can get a bad rep of, oh, they're nuts. Well, there's a lot out there that give them that reputation.
I guess that's what I'm kind of trying to get at, is the difference between those two things, like a professional and just a skeptic.
He was focused on real life cases and ones that, he took on the hard cases, and he even looked at, on his own time, the JonBenet Ramsey case, and was pretty convinced that he knew what had happened there. And, not all of them led to books.
Suicide, right?
Wrong.
Well, that could have been one of the theories.
Just the pressure of the circuit.
Yeah,
The pageant circuit's rough.
Kids these
And
days.
she did herself up like a pageant, like the soldier and A Few Good Men or whatever, like the full uniform.
Right.
And then,
You know how it is.
sorry.
Sorry.
Who did he think did it?
Patty, right?
He had his theories. One of them was the brother.
The brother.
And the parents
the
covered it
knot
up.
that was tied was a Boy Scout type of knot,
Again.
and he was studying that at the time. But that was just a theory.
Jealousy. JonBenet is getting all the attention. Again, this is all theory, right? That we have to frame all this in hypothetical. But back to the jealousy, I think that's a huge motivation for a lot of killings. Right? You have to have the motive, the opportunity, and all these things. But again, if you're the parent, you've already lost one child. You don't want to lose the other one, right? So you may then frame the scene in such a way that it makes it look like something else. And I think a parent's love is a very powerful thing that will cause people to maybe, in the case of OJ, right, maybe take on more of the blame and be the butt of jokes for eternity to protect his son. Because today his son could still be charged, right? There's no statute of limitations on murder.
Like you said, possible father of the year or decade or
It's
All
a
time.
Millennium, maybe?
honestly, this is the sort of thing that they write books in the Bible about.
right below God over Jesus, right? You would have to say.
Well,
Although maybe even better. Like he's protecting
God didn't
his
have a
son.
Heisman. Then OJ did
Yeah.
both.
No puppet.